Hey friend, I am so excited to share episode 1 of the Crocheting Through Emotions podcast. For the first episode, I wanted to share a little bit about myself, my mental health struggles, and how crochet became my saving grace. And if you've never crocheted before, I'm going to share 10 ways it changed my outlook on life and how it could do the same for you if you decided to give it a try. Welcome to Crocheting Through Emotions. If you are sick of feeling exhausted, irritable, and paralyzed by overwhelm, I'm here to teach you how creativity and radical self-care will stop you from feeling stuck so you can start living a more fulfilled life. Hey friend, I'm Sigoni, yarn lover, proud introvert, and recovering anxious perfectionist. After many years of struggle, I finally realized mental health is an internal battle only we can fight our way out of. So after a complete mental breakdown, I started focusing on my needs and in the process learned a buttload about myself. Stress is a part of everyday life. The only way out is to live a little more creatively. So grab a crochet hook, a cute journal, and get comfy cozy. It's time to crochet through your emotions. I know what it's like to feel depressed, lonely, confused, manipulated, and unable to see the light at the end of the tunnel. There were times where I never thought I would step out of that darkness. The only light I had was my baby boy who brought me the only joy I could muster. But the moment he would go to sleep, I would cry my eyes out, wondering if I would ever catch a break. If there was something I could do to make up for all the wrong I did in my life that made me deserve this. If you've ever felt ashamed of the person you were, or stuck in a downward spiral of negativity, I want you to know that you're not alone. So many of us experience these things, but most people hold it in because it feels like a weakness. Trust me, I know. I am the worst when it comes to holding in my emotions. Even when someone asks you how you're doing, you say, "Oh, I'm fine," even when you're far from fine because you don't want to burden the other person with your problems. But what I've learned is it's okay to admit when you're not fine. And when you do admit it, then you're showing true strength. I want to share my experience learning to crochet with you because I think it will blow your mind to know that one act of creativity changed the course of my whole life. And I really want you to experience it too. If you're missing a creative outlet in your own life, then this could be the one solution you need. Crochet is only one piece of the puzzle to rebuilding your life, but it's a pretty strong corner piece. So about 8 years ago, my son was 6 months old, I think at the time. Well, maybe he was about a year, but at this point. So about 8 years ago, I was a single mom living paycheck to paycheck. I was working weekdays and weekends. My son was in 2 separate daycares. My job was demanding, physically and emotionally draining, and there wasn't much appreciation for the work I did. Pretty typical, right? I'm sure you can relate given the current job you have or maybe one you've managed to escape in the past. But at this time, I was also in the process of working through a very difficult trauma. It involved mental and physical abuse from a previous relationship that left me feeling depressed, stupid, inadequate, and like I would never be able to trust another soul on this earth. I developed debilitating anxiety with the constant fear of a bang on my door, hearing the loud bass of a car driving by, or an unknown caller ID. I don't know if you've gone through a similar trauma or a different one entirely, but it is hard to overcome a trauma that was a huge part of your life. Something that literally reshaped your personality, turning you into someone who was full of life and a complete goober, to an introvert who could barely hold a conversation with another human. Spoiler, it took me 10 years to finally overcome this particular trauma. So one night after my son went to sleep those 8 years ago, I was watching a TV show where someone was painting, and I had this flashback of my childhood, remembering the times I would paint or draw with my headphones hooked up to my laptop, and I was caught in this bliss where it felt like time stopped and everything was just calm. I remember doing all kinds of arts and crafts and how it always made me feel relaxed and at peace. Do you remember anything like that when you were growing up? Because it's funny how as we grow up and life gets crazy, we forget these key points of our childhood that made us so happy. I have no idea how I forgot that I loved art so much. So I went back to my roots and started painting after my son went to sleep. It was so fun. I felt like a kid again. I couldn't wipe the goofy smile off my face even when I was painting all alone. But as much as I enjoyed it, it was a lot of work to put together and clean up after putting the baby to bed. So I decided to look for a new craft, something that was easy to get started, quick to clean up, and brought me the same feeling of bliss. Now another flashback. When I was 14, my best friend taught me how to knit, and I loved it. It took me a long time, but I made a scarf, and I remember once I was I'm pretty sure it was at the point where I ran out of yarn. And so I put this delicate, unfinished scarf, still attached to my needles, in my closet so it wouldn't unravel. And I patiently waited for my friend to teach me how to bind it off. She never did. We must have forgotten all about it, but I'm not lying when I say that unfinished scarf has always been in the back of my mind. So when I walked through the yarn aisle of the craft store, I heard the angels singing, "Ah," and remembering how much I loved working with yarn, I decided to give it another go. But having a bad taste in my mouth from not learning how to bind off, I wanted to try a different yarn craft. I remember seeing this weird-looking hook, and I had no idea what it was, but I thought it looked interesting, and I decided to give it a go because one hook seemed a lot easier than 2 needles. And boy, was I right, just forewarning. So I decided to give it a go, and I raced home, followed some YouTube tutorials, and immediately I was hooked. And yes, I know. That pun, things being hooked, is way overused. But it's the truth. That's the whole reason why everybody says it. I loved it so much. I started crocheting every single night, and you might not believe the benefits I saw after the first day. Oh my goodness, there's a plane. Try to ignore the plane in the background, but here are the 10 ways crochet changed my outlook on life. And I'll try to keep it true to the order of the feelings I felt as it happened, but this was a long time ago, and my memory is the worst. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff. The first way that crochet changed my outlook on life is that it reduced my daily stress and helped me wind down at the end of the day. So, as I told you, work was super stressful back then. And not only that, but of course, all the daily stresses that we have, bills, taking care of our kids, being a single mom, being lonely, not having many friends, kind of just on repeat, doing the same thing every day. But when I was crocheting, I just felt comforted. Like crochet was my new best friend. And yes, I know that sounds really sad. But after I got out of that abusive relationship, I moved 5 hours away to a new city to live with my sister and her new husband. And that was the best decision I ever made because my sister and I grew closer than we'd ever been before. And she introduced me to my future and current husband. I had friends back home, my childhood home, and I made friends with my sister's friends, but never had the time or energy to go out and make new friends. And being a military family, my sister moved away and I stayed behind. Back to being lonely, ergo, crochet was my best friend. The second way that it really changed my life is that it gave me something to look forward to daily. Since I only had time to crochet at night, I looked forward to it all day. I was like a giddy kid who was going to the candy store for the first time in forever. But in all seriousness, instead of the stress weighing me down while I was at work, I was excited for it to be over so I could go play with yarn. And I don't want you to think I didn't look forward to coming home to my son because of course I did. But after I spent all of my time with him, up until bedtime, it was nice to be able to focus on something just for me. Because before, I didn't have anything that I was doing for myself, except for watching TV, and we all know that that's not healthy. I mean, maybe sometimes, but not when, again, you're just on repeat doing the same thing every day with nothing to really look forward to. So it made a huge difference there. The third way it changed my outlook on life is that it gave me this sense of community. And I had no idea that there was a crochet community out there. Be honest, have you ever heard of crochet? If you haven't, please let me know, because when I first started, I had no idea what it was. And after learning that there were thousands of people out there crocheting for the last 20 plus years, it made me feel like I've been living under a rock. But these days, it's pretty popular. It's getting more popular as the years go on. So I'm sure you have. But let me know if you haven't. Soon after I discovered crochet, though, I stumbled upon the biggest, most beautiful community of crocheters on Instagram. I followed 100 new people in awe of other creations I would see. I joined Facebook groups where people would share their work, and I was so excited to share mine and get feedback. I didn't see a negative comment anywhere, and everyone was so supportive. So even though I knew none of these people in real life, I felt like I found my people. Number 4, I was able to make meaningful gifts that didn't break the bank. Whenever I learned, it was November, I think. So at that time when I was looking for a craft, I was looking for something that I would be able to actually make physical items for friends and family. And I can't tell you how many scarves I gifted back in the day. So many that I was told, please, no more scarves. Just kidding. But I wouldn't doubt if they wanted to say that. These days, I don't make as many gifts, but this year I did crochet ornaments, and I put together a little gift set for my neighbors, and it made me so happy. I truly had a blast putting together these little gift sets, and they loved them. And so that's another reason where it just makes you feel good to give people something that you made. And that's another thing that's great is when you're able to make something and gift it to someone and they've seen the hard work that you've put into it, it makes you feel happy. And it's one of those feelings that you can only get whenever you hand make something. The fifth reason crochet changed my outlook on life is that I stopped having such a negative mindset and I started thinking more positively. Back then, I was very why me? I felt like every time I took a step forward, I was knocked 2 steps back. I was just negative all the time. I felt like I could never do anything right. I was worthless, ugly, unloved, had no close friends, ashamed of my past, just feeling like I was at rock bottom. I had no one to talk to at the time, and my parents and I weren't very close growing up. But because I had this new hobby, all of my negative thoughts turned into yarn thoughts. I'm not even joking. I was probably unhealthy obsessed with crochet because it was all I would ever talk about and do. But I think it was because it was the first time in my life that I felt creative. And that really made me happy. And speaking of creativity, number 6 is it was the first time I felt truly creative, like I could make anything. Growing up, I loved drawing and painting, but the main things I would draw were cartoon characters. And what I would do was I would just look at a picture and copy it, not trace it, but just draw the cartoon of the image I would Google. I would never make up my own things because I had no idea what to draw. And because of that, drawing was relaxing, yes, but it never made me feel creative because I couldn't come up with my own ideas. But with crochet, the possibilities are endless. You can make anything and everything. There are always new techniques to learn, different ways to make the same thing, 1,000 ways to combine stitches to create different patterns. I just love the constant source of learning. Number 7, it helped boost my self-esteem. When I was a kid, my mom would make all of our Halloween costumes. She was a huge sewer back in the day, and she never taught me how to sew. But whenever I started crocheting, the more I learned, the more I realized you could make anything, like I just said. So around Halloween time, I remembered how my mom would make our Halloween costumes every year. And I thought, hey, maybe I could make my son's costume for Halloween. But I had no idea what I wanted to make. And one day we were watching Trolls because that was one of his favorite movies when he was little. And if you've seen Branch from that movie, he has like a green vest that kind of looks like, well, if you don't know crochet, you don't know what the crocodile stitch is. But if you do know crochet, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you look at his vest, it looks exactly like the crocodile stitch. And when I saw it, I happened to have learned that stitch just like the week before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can totally make that. And so I decided to make it. And I obviously didn't follow a pattern. I just kind of made it up as I went. And I ended up with a costume that actually fit him. And yes, he did wear it on Halloween. I've shared this picture on Instagram, Facebook before. So maybe I'll share it again after this episode goes live. But the moment that I made that costume, I felt unstoppable. I was so proud of myself and just felt like I can crochet anything. I'm a pro now. But really, I realized you don't have to go to school to be a designer, which I admit I totally thought was a thing, but you don't. Like if you want to design crochet patterns and sell them, do it. Like it is the coolest thing ever to turn your crochet work into a job. But we will talk about that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to boosting self-esteem. It got me even more excited to start making my own things. I started feeling more confident in what I was making, and I was receiving compliments from coworkers and friends and family, and being asked if I could make items for other people. And it just made me feel so proud of myself. And that's pretty much it. It really boosted my self-esteem in that way. And now we can talk about the business part of things. Number 8, I started a business doing something I love. It took me about a year into crochet before I started my blog. Before my blog, I was selling to coworkers and my mom's coworkers. She made me make like 100 bunnies. By the time I was done, I was like, I can't do it anymore. But it made me happy that I was able to make things for other kids especially. So about a year into crochet, I started my blog where I was offering tutorials on how to crochet because I really wanted to share crochet with the world. I wanted everybody to feel the benefits that crochet brought to my life. And even though I never talked about mental health on my blog, it was always the reason why I started it, the reason why I started my YouTube channel so that it was easier to learn. And I'm really happy that I've been able to do that the last 7 years or so. I've never loved a job more than the one I have right now, and I'm so, so grateful for it. And the great thing about crochet is, let's say you're looking for a side hustle. There are so many different ways that you can turn crochet into a business. You can sell your designs, you can start a blog, you can start a YouTube channel. There are so many YouTube channels out there these days that are related to crochet. It's not even just tutorials and free patterns, but people just sharing their experience with crochet or giving ideas on what you can make and things like that. There are so many things that you can do. You can even sell your items at craft fairs if that's what you wanted to do. There are just lots of ways that you can turn crochet into a business. Okay, so we're on number 9, the ninth reason that it changed my outlook on life. And it's probably the most important reason, let's be real. It makes me feel productive while I watch TV. This is like the biggest bonus of all. You can't get mad at me for binge watching Bridgerton when I made a blanket in the process. But seriously, it has always been really hard for me to sit still. I can't relax without feeling like there's something else I should be doing. Anybody else? Doing nothing, aka watching TV, feels like a waste of time. But with a project on my hook, I feel productive while I'm watching my favorite show. No guilt necessary, the end. Number 10, the final way that crochet changed my outlook on life is that the possibilities are endless. And I touched on this earlier, but I want to go into it a little bit deeper. With crochet, you have a hook and you have yarn. When it comes to the hook, there are different sizes that you can use based on the kind of yarn that you're using. With the yarn, there's different colors, there's different fibers, there's different fluffiness, textures, colors. Did I already say colors? There are yarns that are self-striping, variegated. Girl, the possibilities are endless just with your hook and yarn choices. But then there are also different techniques. So there's Tunisian crochet, corner to corner, amigurumi, also known as stuffed animals, broomstick lace, tapestry crochet, freeform crochet, and designing your own patterns, of course. There's so many. I don't even think I named them all. There are so many things that you can do, and it's so fun to discover all the possibilities. Crochet is known for blankets and scarves and all the wintry items, but you can make clothing, bathing suits, beach bags, mesh bags that you can take to the farmer's market. You can make covers for your Kindle, for your phone, for your water bottle. You can make stuffed animals for your kiddos, car accessories, and the list goes on. Oh, there's a plant in front of me, so I remember that you can also make plant holders, like the little covers that go on the plant, or you can even hang them from your ceiling if you wanted to. Just go on Pinterest and type in, what should I crochet? And you'll get 1,000 items thrown at you. It's just incredible. And like I said, it's a constant source of learning. So you're always curious about the things that you can make next. And it's just really fun. And I'm getting a little bit out of control, so I'm going to calm down. But that's it. Those are the 10 ways crochet changed my outlook on life. So what should you do now? Learn to crochet, of course. Duh. Remember how I said I've been teaching crochet for the last 7 years? I have a 7-day Learn to Crochet challenge that you can start with. It's absolutely free, and it will teach you everything that you need to know about the basics. The basics are really all you need to know to get started, but if you want to learn the whole shebang, I have an even longer masterclass that's also free that will teach you the basics and beyond. The supplies are cheap, you can learn at your own pace, and it's easy to access. You have no excuse not to give it a try. Thank you so much for joining me for today's first episode of Crocheting Through Emotions. I'm so happy that you're here, and I hope you stick around with me so I can show you all the cool things about crochet and self-care. I have learned a lot over the last few years, and I can't wait to share it with you. Hey, before you go, if this podcast inspired, motivated, or encouraged you in some way, I would love for you to leave me a written review. That is the #1 way you can thank me, and I love hearing from you. Come connect with me over on Instagram, and always remember, you can do anything, but you cannot do everything. Talk soon.